ask you, where are you in the world right now?
Yeah, I'm right now in Hanover in Germany, and despite the fact that usually in the northern part of Germany there's no snow, there is already snow here, which is an interesting phenomenon. Usually it's much more down to the southern part of Germany where I'm living, close to the Lake of
Right.
Constance.
Right, fantastic. Just to let everybody know again, remember you're curious, maybe you have a question, you'd like to challenge Stefan perhaps at the end. Again, pop in your questions in the chat so this can be as engaging as possible. Listen, Stefan, I'll leave it up to you now.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So I'm going to share also my screen right now, and a very warm welcome to everybody to HR Week 2022. It's a real pleasure and an honor for me to kick off the first day. And as you can see, obviously, I have chosen a couple of key words or buzzwords, some would say. Be bold, be ambitious, disrupt and be proud in our people or human resources functions. And that's what I'm going to talk about. Now, before you ask the question, yes, my punk outfit is not what I'm wearing today because I'm sitting here at a family business company currently, and there the dress code is still slightly a little bit different, but it is my outfit I have worn throughout a couple of years and events, also during my time as the CHRO of SAP. And this is my original jacket from the 80s as an punk. And a couple of years we have started the movement called HR Punk, and I'm also going to talk about that one a little bit later on today. So let's get it kickstarted. My first message to all of you out there in our community, in my community, the lovely people or human resources function is, I really believe it is the best time ever, really the best time ever to be in our people function. And why can I say that? Of course, we are all facing very difficult times. Think about the crisis overall. Think about the whole climate issues we are facing. Think about the war situation we are facing here in the heart of Europe. And still, I argue it is the best time ever now to work in the people function. Because with our profession, we are working with human beings. We are working with people. And I'm a big believer that only people, next to maybe innovation, cool machines, cool ideas, but people will shape this wonderful planet. And if we want to keep this planet be seen alive also for the next centuries and decades, we have to change certain things of our behavior and our attitude. And that's not only valid in our private time, it is also very much valid in our business life. And therefore, being a member of our community, being a member of our people function and human resources, I think this is now the time to act and to help our society wherever we are, in whichever function or whichever industry we are working, to initiate change. Because one thing is clear, that when you look at the current situation, and I've touched a few on them, the geopolitical situation, but also the climate change, it is obvious that for the next generations, if we are just keeping the track where we are as of today, we will not survive as a species. We will also not survive on this planet. And therefore, to come from the big picture down to our profession, I truly believe, because we are the ones who are working with the people in our organizations, in our functions, in our businesses, we should be a key driver of the change process. Think about our core processes such as recruiting. Think about talent management. Think about leadership. All of those aspects need to be touched. All of those aspects hopefully carry a lot of change forward. And all of those topics we are able to touch next to the business, in close partnership with the business. But we are the ones, and therefore, I truly believe it's the best time ever to be in the people function. While it is a perfect time to think about change, disruption, positive involvement in order to change the businesses, but also to help the world run better, I believe that there's one attitude of our behavior which comes out very clearly, which has already been mentioned a couple of times while we are here together, while we kickstart the HR Week for 2022. And it's called Be Bold. So we are really, hopefully not anymore a back office function, but I'm now in our profession since almost 30 years. And since 30 years, I've always heard this argument of, is HR important? Does the people function have a seat at the table? I hope those times are over, but I also understand that still people in our profession face this kind of hurdle within different organizations. And therefore, an attitude called bold is very important. You need to shine. You need to shine as an individual. You need to shine as an organization. And therefore, elements which I have used in our direction called being an HR punk, it's important to be bold. And as you remember, when the punk movement started in the 80s, this was a very bold movement. Those people on the street were seen very obviously as something different, as maybe a shaper of something new. I do understand that also people connect with punk a lot of, hey, there is no future and there is no hope for something else. But my definition of being an HR punk really starts off being bold, which is very important for us individually or as an organization. Let me give you one example. Think about big mega trends like inclusion. Those areas we are able really to design differently in the future. Those elements of a really inclusive culture within an organization or within a function or within an industry, this is something where we can help to shape it differently. Therefore, being an HR person or a people person currently working in our function, I think it is important not just to lean back or handle administrative processes in the background. And don't get me wrong, those are very important. But we have also topics and themes, such as, for example, in the inclusiveness of an organization, where we can be stronger, be bolder, be more direct with something where we can help the organization to be better equipped and be better aligned for a better future for the organization overall. Now, let me touch here on also on a very important thing. When you are in a corporate function or in a small organization, functions like the people business or human resources are always compared with other functions like legal or finance. I hope, and I guess you have never heard that finance would argue that they are a back office function. They are a shaper of the business. And this is why we as individuals working in the people or human resources function need to be ambitious. You need to shape the business of the future. And as I've said, because we are touching people, we are touching human beings, we are touching important processes and topics and themes, I think we also have the right to be ambitious. So don't just lean back or keep the doors always closed because we're handling so much confidential information in our business. Be more outspoken, be ambitious, tell the world, tell your organization, tell your industry what you want to change. And I think this is something where we can really mirror the business. I have had the pleasure over almost 30 years, as I've already mentioned, to work with very ambitious business people. And there's one thing what I have learned by myself. You have to have really interesting targets, interesting measurements and facts and figures out there that people or an organization is going to follow you. why do we not just mirror that also for our own profession? You need to tell the world, you need to tell your organization what kind of ambitious goals you have in your people or human resources business in order to influence the business and hopefully also to influence better business results. That is something what I believe is very important for us. Next of being bold and ambitious, I also believe that we have to be positive, disruptive in our organization. And we have to question the status quo. This is, again, when you mirror it back to the punk movement of the 80s when it started, they are very disruptive. They were very clearly seen and pointed out on the street, not just by the dress, but also by their behavior. And I think certain elements of a positive disruptiveness in terms of our people business, talent, leadership, that's important. Because again, we can't rest where we are. As I have said right at the beginning, when you look into the ecosystem, when you look into our situation of our planet, when you look to the geopolitical situation overall, we need to be disruptive in order to overcome that crisis. And then I ask myself very often in my professional life, why do I need to accept, or why should I accept certain behavior of the past? I was always interested and curious to look into certain things, what I can change or what I can offer differently to people in the organization. At the end, my desire was always to design the best environment so that the people can highly perform and really outperform the expectations. And therefore, I'm a big believer in disruption, in positive disruption, not in negative disruption, because that might lead into a downward spiral. But positive disruptiveness, from my perspective, is very important as well. Now, at the end of the day, I also believe when we talked about certain attitudes or behavior from our people or human resources function or individual behavior, I think it is also very important from time to time to reflect, to celebrate the success, and be proud of what you have achieved. Unfortunately, I don't see this very often happening. What I see very often is that people in our profession have unbelievable tasks and they handle them on time with the right quality, but we rarely take the time to celebrate the success. And therefore, the concept of data, facts, and figures is very important. Let me explain that to you. When I was raised with my education at the university age, it was not seen as a core profession within our business of people or human resources that we grew up with data, facts, and figures. Compare that to our colleagues in finance. They are born and raised with data, facts, and figures. Data, facts, and figures are the language of the business. And therefore, we also need to accept that fact that this is the business language. The best way to convince a business leader to invest money in leadership, talent, or recruiting activities is you deliver a clear outcome. You deliver data, facts, and figures to prove that the money invested will pay back and will make the organization or individual stronger. And that's the language the business understands. So therefore, I'm a big advocate of data, facts, and figures within our own profession, because that's the way how you can prove if you're successful or not. And don't get me wrong, from time to time, we also have to prove to ourselves that maybe one initiative was not good, but we can clearly go down and review that with data, facts, and figures. But when you need to celebrate success and go back to the business or to your own function or to your own people within your own HR organization, that's the best convincing arguments. And think about strong measurements like employee retention. Think about, for example, also the best onboarding processes. You can always relate them to data, facts, and figures. You can also measure how strong is your leadership and your talent bench with data, facts, and figures. And I can guarantee you, based on my experience, once you're focusing not only on the what, but also on the how and measure it, you have not only a better chance to convince business people to invest in our own profession or initiatives we are driving for employees, managers, leaders, or even alumni. No, at the end, you can also use this for yourself, for your own organization, and celebrate key success, because that's important for people to recognize what they have done to initiate another step change of different activities you're going to perform, and maybe start challenging another topic within our businesses of people and the human resources function. Last but not least, and I hope this presentation helped you to set the stage for today, but also for your own personal vision. How do you want to drive your own role and your own responsibility forward? But ideally also for your entire organization. I really believe that those concepts I've just introduced to you during today and over the next couple of weeks and months are going to help you to be a real HR punk. And I mean it by the heart of my soul, of everything I have learned within the last 30 years, that our profession is really one of the most interesting functions we're having at this point in time being offered in a professional business life. The only thing what I'm really questioning at this point in time is that we have the tendency to focus too much on our own, a little bit too much on our back office function, and instead we should question and challenge the status quo, be bold and be ambitious, and at the end of the day also celebrate the success. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you will have wonderful sessions in front of you over the next couple of hours and days. I can't wait also for myself to join the one or the other session. And I want to thank you for the attention. And hopefully you're going to carry forward something what I have started with my team at SAP now already 7-8 years ago, when we called ourselves being real HR punks. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Stefan, fantastic. Great to hear from you again. And now's the time in the chat. If you have a question, you're curious, again, you'd like to maybe challenge Stefan on something he shared as well. Now is the time to do it. I'm just going over to the chat right now. I can see we've got a lot of people. Hi to Maya from Novi Sad. We've got Emina from Sarajevo. We've got Stefan from Macedonia. So welcome everybody who's here. Again, keep that moving as well. Let's see if we've got questions coming through. I'm checking right now. Now is the time. I'm sure you're thinking about one or two. Here we are. It seems we may not have any questions at all, which is absolutely fine as well. Listen, Stefan, thank you so much for being with us. Disruption, being bold, being ambitious, those are important words you've been sharing, certainly to start off this week. And I hope all of us, when we remember those words, we'll keep those at the back of our minds throughout this week as we hear lots of ideas to help us again make sense of where we're moving forward. So thank you so much.
All the best. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.